Welcome, everybody, to It Tastes Different Gaming News. What's on the news today? Well, there's Microsoft took a leak, and people are finding out what they're about. All right, so just so you know, Pat ain't here. He had to go back to school today, not because he wants to get smarter. He just wanted to meet girls, and it's third grade. So good luck to him there. All right. The Xbox massive leak due to the FTC trial and everything that pretty sure everybody knows about by now has a lot of interesting information. Now, granted, these documents are fairly old at this point, a year, two, right in there, give or take. So a lot of this is a grain of salt, and we have contradicting information from Phil himself. But according to these leaked documents, there is supposed to be a mid-gen refresh for the Xbox console. Now, previously, Phil Spencer stated that there won't be a mid-gen because apparently the Series X is the mid-gen. I'm pretty sure we all knew it was full of crap about that. But according to leaked FTC documents, there's an upgraded Series X codenamed Brooklyn, and it is a digital only. Similar to the current Series S, but it's going to be tubular. It looks like a coffee can, or what I believe Nick said, Alexa. Oh, don't say that too loud. Somebody's shit will go off. It's a cylindrical shape, and the document lists that it boasts 12 teraflops, 4K resolution, 16 gigs of RAM. Additionally, it will have 2 terabytes of storage, which the original Series X should have had anyways, but I digress. It's a nice looking little console according to these leaks. I kind of like the coffee can shape, but that's just me. Now, it also seems that they plan to have a new Series S as well, codenamed Elwood. Where the hell they come up with these names, I have no idea. But it would be 10 gigs of RAM. And that's, these are all leaks, but, if they come out, they come out. Also, a new controller. The new controller will be more along the lines of the far as the tech in it. It'll still look like the Xbox controller we know and love, but it'll have haptic feedback, things like that, similar to the PlayStation 5 controller. I'm not a big fan of haptic feedback the way it's been used mostly, so that's my problem. But the new console will stay at $500, which I have a problem with, considering there won't be a hard drive, if this is true at all. So I don't know if this is, this will ever come to fruition of any kind, because these documents are old, and this is all due to the court cases and whatever. And with all these leaks, plus everything happening in the court case, plans change relatively quick in businesses like this. But when it comes to technology, though, you can't just put a halt on something. So, there's a decent possibility we could see this, but Phil Spencer himself did say there won't be a mid-gen because it's already happened. Take that with a grain of salt. So, I don't know. It's very interesting what has come out just besides this. But to me, the new controller and new consoles, mid-gen consoles, are probably the biggest thing to come out of it. I think they're both quite interesting. The coffee can Xbox, we'll call it the Series Folgers. It looks really interesting. My biggest problem with it, though, and like I told Pat and Nick, was it looks like it must stay vertical. The Series X right now, it's rectangular, so you can lay it on the sides. And that's really the only way, in my opinion, to have your console. So let's jump into Nick here, see what he thinks. Nick, are you in for some Folgers coffee or what?
Sure, I guess. as far as the console goes, I don't think there's enough besides the expanded storage. As far as the console goes, I don't think for me personally, there's really enough here to make me go out and say, oh, I need to get this instead of I need to trade in my Series X for this, right? If you don't have a Series X today, and you wanted to get this Brooklyn version, then you can, right? But that's kind of where I'm at on that. But I mean, there's really not much different, right? They might end up, supposedly this is going to be the same price as the Series X. So, it's kind of just replacing it in a sense. I don't know about the shape. I'm not a big fan of the circular. I mean, I understand they're trying to go with like sleek looking, but I don't know. For me, it's like, it's a console. I want it to look like a console. Make it look like a console. Don't make it look like something that, is going to spray potpourri out of the top of it or something. Like, just give me a console. Like, that's all I'm asking for. I think the most interesting part is the controller, because I think the new controller has a lot more going on with it than our current series controllers do, with the haptic feedback, that also our speakers, and basically taking a lot of things that the PlayStation controller does today and incorporating it into an Xbox controller. So I mean, that part I think is probably the most interesting in my case. But like you said, these documents are old, so I would be surprised if Microsoft doesn't do some sort of mid-gen upgrade. And the reason being, regardless of what Phil said, and the reason being is because PlayStation's going to do one, we assume, right? There's been lots of rumors and rumblings online about PlayStation Pro or something like that, right? Which a place, this is not a mid-gen upgrade, right? Because it doesn't seem like this performance wise is any better than what the Series X does today, right? It's got better Wi-Fi according to the information, right? It's got a better energy saving usages, better low power modes and stuff like that in it. But it has bigger storage, but it doesn't, like, when I think of like the Xbox One and then the Series X, or then the Xbox One X, that was a graphical that had more performance capabilities than the Xbox One, right? It wasn't just a redesigned Xbox One, right? This feels like a more like a redesigned Xbox Series X with some slight improvements. So it's like, okay, I mean, if they came out with this and be like, oh, here's the new Xbox Series, whatever Y, I guess, or whatever they're going to call this one, then it's like, okay, well, if you don't have an X today, then there's no point, right? Whereas I felt like the Xbox One X, it was like, if you had an Xbox One today and there was a point to upgrading to it, right? And the same could be said for, even though I didn't, but the same could be said for the PlayStation 4 Pro, right? PlayStation 4 Pro wasn't as big of a leap as the Xbox One to the One X was, but it did offer improvements over power improvements, right? Over what the PlayStation 4 could do. So it gave you better performance, right? So I would say that Xbox probably does have plans. This is probably not it. This might have been an update. This might have been something more of like something they were planning on doing as a mid-gen upgrade, as probably more than just what's showcased here. Maybe some performance improvements. Maybe the Series X wasn't going to be what they were initially going, because we've heard about that too, where the Series S, there was rumors that the Series S was originally what they were going to come out with, and the X was kind of like they had to because once they figured out what Sony was doing, it was kind of like, we don't have, ours is incredibly underperformed to that, and we have to think of something. So that could be Phil's like, well, this is our mid-gen because, technically this is what would have came out later down the line, but we had to kind of, release it ahead of time type of thing to compete with Sony. I think they'll do a mid-gen bump, right? Especially if the talks about Sony doing a mid-gen bump are true, which we've been hearing more and more about that, then Microsoft's they'll have to, right? They'll have to come out with a mid-gen bump. So I don't think the Brooklyn is quite what's going to be the mid-gen bump if they do, but we could be hearing about PlayStation and Xbox's mid-gen bump come 2024, right? Because this was expected to, and they were expecting it to, or to announce it around summer 2024, according to IGN here with this information, according to the leaked documents. So, I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but I don't know if it'll be Brooklyn, because if it's Brooklyn, I don't know. It's like, that's kind of in Microsoft's case, I feel like the way that Brooklyn is right now, for the information we know, this is a useless endeavor, right? I just don't feel like the Brooklyn model is really like, you're not going to like wow people over with that. I just don't feel like, if people don't have a Series X today, they're not going to see the Brooklyn and go, oh my God, look at that. That's amazing. It's shaped as a cylinder instead of a square. Wow.
I bet I could fit that somewhere.
Yeah. It's like, no one's going to give a crap. Like, they might care that it has more storage, but that's not going to, again, that's not really going to make people like more storage. Yes. But that's not going to make someone go out and be like, okay, now I'm going to pick up the Xbox. Now, if it said it performed better, maybe it had a better, faster processor in it, or maybe they added some more teraflops to it or something like that, which they didn't in these spec sheets, right? They're the same. But let's say they did that with better Wi-Fi and other things, right? Then people might be like, okay, I might upgrade my Series X if I have one. And if I don't have a Series X, I might go out and buy one for that. I don't know. The controller I would definitely probably pick up. I'm not that big into haptic feedback either, but I like some of the other features the controller has compared to just the haptics, the speakers,
accelerometer,
and stuff like that. And like, probably better connection type in there for better. It says it has Bluetooth, which, according to Pat, I guess Xbox uses a proprietary connection method. So,
yeah, I looked that up the other day. Yeah, he's right. It's I don't know tech crap, but yeah,
right.
It's their own thing. That's why this won't work on PlayStation.
Right,
but it will work on my phone, which is weird.
Well, it Bluetooth. I guess I don't know the mumbo jumbo on how that works, but still though, it sounds interesting. As far the controller does to me, the console doesn't sound interesting.
The way I'm reading it, and I don't know how mid-gen upgrades would work with two SKUs that they have right now, because they're vastly different. Even with all my tech ignorance, I know they're vastly different. So, and if they were to release just one of these, let's say they release the Elwood, or what the hell that thing was called, the Series S mid-gen upgrade. Now that thing's quite a bit beefier compared to what the Series S is right now. How do developers develop for all three SKUs? because they can't stop developing for the S. Microsoft said, no, no, no. So that means they have 1, 2, 3 consoles to develop for. Now, if they're all 4, if the Series X upgrade is true, then that's basically a 4th system that developers have to deal with. So I don't know. It's just tricky the way they've put themselves in a bad position, I think, with the Series S. I think the Series S, to me, what the Series, God, I hate Microsoft naming conventions. So if the Series X mid-gen upgrade, the all digital Brooklyn, okay, if that's factual, the way I read it, that shouldn't be the mid-gen upgrade. That should be the mid-gen upgrade for the Series S. It's the all digital version. That's the way I see it, because it's the Series X in a tube, no disk drive. That's the Series S mid-gen upgrade right there. I mean, that would be the better thing to do and keep it at the same, was it Series S is what, 300 or 279 or something like that now? Can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I think Microsoft bent themselves over with the Series S. I think they had momentary right ideals, just not a long thought out process to what they were doing. They're like, yeah, we can entice people with a cheap console that plays next gen games. And I'm not saying it's a bad system or anything. It's just comparatively, it's just not got the horsepower the Series X or the PS5 has. Either PS5. One system. That's it.
Right. Right.
So I think they need a mid-gen for the Series S. Plain and simple. Or they need, they can't eliminate it, but they need to offer everybody with a Series S $150 trade-in value or something.
Right.
They should get it off the goddamn market. So
yeah, they should. They did shoot themselves in the foot with it. I mean, according to this documents, it says it's an Xbox Series X refresh. So that to me just says that's more of a redesign than a mid-gen bump or something like that. Which, okay, whatever. Redesign it if you want. Yes, with the Series S, they did. I mean, because it was I think the documents came out not too long ago that the Series S is more people purchase the Series S compared to the X, right? It was the more popular of the two consoles. So what Microsoft essentially did is they did shoot themselves in the foot with the Series S, because what they essentially did was people went out, they bought a PlayStation. If they have a PC, whatever, they have a PC, a gaming PC, but they went out and they bought a PlayStation to play everything they want to play. And they bought a Series S to just play exclusive games that come to Xbox. And that's it, right? That's pretty much what they've made with that, right? Because people aren't going out, I'm sure a lot of Series X is sold, but I mean, more Series S's did. And so that's what most of the gamers out there, it seems like, more likely did, is the Series S is not their main gaming machine. It's probably a PlayStation or something else. And then they have that just kind of like, oh, I bought this $300, or I think it's $300 for those, this $300 machine to kind of sit here and, maybe I'll play like Starfield on it, or, whatever exclusive game comes out to Xbox. Right. They've basically, because they have that option, they've really hindered themselves, because now they can't put themselves as being like a primary machine. Now they're just a secondary machine. Right.
Well, don't forget though, they have the Series S upgrade coming out, or might be already out, the black one with a 2 terabyte hard drive.
It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive, because the original came with
1 terabyte. That's right.
Gigabytes.
A load of
which
shit
is stupid.
Yeah. But I mean,
But nothing else changes in that besides being
No.
black and having a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's the same exact console.
Yeah, and it's 350. By the way, the Series S white is 279 to 300, give or take. So Microsoft has to, everything that Microsoft does, I like, except for 2 things: console naming and no games. And Microsoft is not doing themselves any favors for having multiple SKUs out right now. And when I say multiple, I mean just different systems. They're just vastly different systems. And you're right. I mean, most of those Series S's sold are probably just console exclusives. And it's like I said, it's not a bad console. I don't have one. I'm a big boy. I have a big boy console. So, but they've got to get a handle on this. I mean, they really do, because I think a mid-gen refresh is only going to help them if they keep the price down and they beef up the Series S. But essentially, get rid of it. Tell everybody right now, don't even put the black one out. Just say, look, we screwed up. We're going to give you $200. You trade your Series S in, and it'll go towards your Series X, Y, Z, chromosome, whatever the hell they want to call it. Let them do that. And keep, Sony is a shitty company, but their PlayStation 5, they did right. 2 versions of it, with and without hard drive, or without disk drives. So, I mean, they kept it clean. They kept it simple. It's not confusing. Microsoft cannot seem to do that. They just can't, and they're hurting themselves. So, but again, this whole leak is old documents, old information. I don't see Microsoft doing either one of the consoles. I don't see them doing the Series X console, not for the same price, because there's not enough anything really changing it to warrant me paying the same price without a disk drive, even though it looks cool like a Folgers coffee can. But there's still no reason for it. So now the controller, on the other hand, though, I didn't like the image that was shown in the leak, the whole black white thing, because I have an Elite and it's awesome. But I do like the idea of the haptic feedback, as long as it's used properly, and the accelerometers, the speakers. I love the speakers on the PlayStation controller. Ghost of Tsushima. I love the way the wind and things like that work on it. It's great. So, but anyways, let's we better end this before the series freaking God knows what comes out. You got anything else on this?
No.
All right. Well, you made it to the end. You win the I get to hit the subscribe button and the notifications button, and we're going to even throw in a smile. So let us know what you think. Are you interested in a mid-gen refresh of this type? It's now, when I say refresh, just like Nick said, it's just same console, different form factor. Pretty much it. But are you interested in a actual mid-gen change up? Like the One X was, Scorpio edition. God knows what the hell they called it. I got one. I thought it was a damn good leap from my original Xbox One. So let us know what you think. Are you interested in something like that? Are you interested in some of those PlayStation designs going into the Xbox controller? I know I am. I know Nick is, and I'm pretty sure Pat is. So tell us what you think. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. See ya.